Welcome, APS staff members, to this discussion of steps we can take in the face of a national problem, school shootings. School shootings are increasingly becoming a danger to America's youth and educators. This is a complex problem that is not likely to go away anytime soon. So what can we do for our local school district, the Albuquerque Public Schools? Well, first, let's look at some research findings. I must begin with a disclaimer. School shootings and their perpetrators are under-researched due to several factors, including a legal ban on the CDC conducting firearm research. Furthermore, the statistics used in this proposal come mainly from a literature review of the few organizations tracking the features of school shootings. The literature and research on school shootings is limited. However, it is statistically clear, despite lack of resources, that the rate of school shootings has increased since the 1990s. The literature review relied upon heavily for this proposal has provided this chart that shows the number of school shootings from the 1760s up until 2013, and we can see the sharp increase in school shootings that has been going on recently and has continued to develop. There are several suspected causes for school shootings. However, the extent of the impact of these factors requires much more research. Increased gun violence in media, bullying, psychiatric medications, peer pressure, mental illness, and levels of gun control have all been blamed as the true cause of this increase in violence. Every one of these factors is highly debated. Unfortunately, the debates are mainly held by news outlets and other laymen posing as experts. Thus, at this point in time, we can claim no definite cause of school shootings. Our current president, with the backing of the lobbying group, the National Rifle Association, has suggested that teachers carry firearms to school to dissuade potential shooters. This poses a number of problems. One of the major problems with this is that a majority of teachers, including those with concealed carry licenses, feel uncomfortable with this solution. Even those trained and certified can make serious mistakes. For example, earlier this year, the Washington Post reported that in California, I quote, "A teacher who is also a reserve police officer trained in firearm use accidentally discharged a gun." The article goes on to say that because of this accidental fire, a student was injured. The injury was non-life-threatening, but it demonstrates the dangerous mistakes that even the experienced and highly trained can make when guns are involved. Furthermore, there is a psychological phenomenon called the weapons effect, which we must keep in mind when considering this as a solution. The weapons effect is when the presence of a weapon, such as a gun carried by a teacher, increases aggressive behavior in those aware of the weapon's presence. There have also been proposals to increase police presence on campus. This is a costly solution that worries civil rights groups because police presence on campus is statistically tied to racial prejudice in school disciplinary action, despite the statistic that 76% of school shooters are Caucasian. So what can be done to make schools safer? One step Albuquerque Public Schools can take to make our schools safer is to pay for staff to train in surviving a school shooting and disarming the shooter. The three main reasons a school shooting ends is that the shooter commits suicide, the police arrive and intervene, or because staff or students are able to restrain the attacker. 33% of school shootings are ended either because a staff member or a student is able to recognize and seize a moment when the shooter is vulnerable and able to be restrained and/or disarmed. You can see that in this pie chart provided by the literature review referenced earlier. Educators and students as those who are ending the attack. The FBI has written that in an active shooter situation, one should run, hide, or fight in that order. If one is hiding and the shooter has to reload his gun or pauses for another reason, several teachers have successfully used this moment to fight and have saved lives in doing so. Imagine how much more effectively teachers could seize these opportunities to end the attack if they had training and the confidence that goes with it. In fact, a group of APS staff have trained with the Global One Defense Organization. One researcher sent teachers through school shootings preparedness workshop, similar to that of the Global One defense. The result was that, and I quote, "Most participating teachers remarked that they felt more empowered and prepared in case of a school shooting." APS employs 14,811 people, 6,063 of which are teachers and librarians. While Global One Defense's individual cost for training is $300, they do have group prices that can be negotiated. According to an online quote service, the average price for group self-defense classes in the Albuquerque area is $30 per person. Therefore, we can make a tentative estimate that if APS pays to train all 14,811 members of its staff at $30 per person, it will ultimately pay $400,044,330. To reduce this cost, APS could choose to train only teachers and librarians, those usually on the front lines of a school shooting. As APS employs 6,063 teachers and librarians, this would cost $181,890. To estimate the highest possible cost, we can take the individual price offered by Global One Defense, which is $300, and multiply it by the 14,811 staff members. This results in $4,443,300, which is rather pricey. However, it is less daunting as a cost when compared with other security measures, like hiring police officers to patrol schools, which poses civil rights issues with regard to minority students, as previously discussed. Furthermore, self-defense training is comparable in cost to concealed carry training and has been shown to be safer than arming teachers, as seen earlier in this proposal. Albuquerque Public Schools has $679 million in their operational fund. This is used for things like paying staff and providing benefits. This is the fund I propose we find the money to pay for the training for APS faculty. It must be noted that for these funds to go to training classes, they must be put on the ballot and be voted for by the voting populace of the APS district. While legal and political limitations are addressed, APS could inform teachers of organizations like Global One Defense and encourage them to take these classes. This does not ensure the same universal training of the district staff, because staff would have to pay for it out of pocket, but it does offer a transitional step while APS adjusts its budget. Providing APS staff with active shooter preparedness and self-defense training, either by vote to use the APS operational fund or by encouraging teachers to take the courses by paying out of pocket, we can not only ease the minds of educators and thus decrease an environment of fear and make a better learning environment for students, we can also save lives if the worst happens and a school shooting occurs.